Today we're going to be looking at a first grade classroom, and the teacher will be teaching math concepts, and so we'll have an opportunity to see her in practice, and we'll have an opportunity to think about UDL related to her practice. So let's take a look.
Great.
And if you look on your paper and up here at the top, it says what right here? Read it with me. My guess. There's a line there. So when you look at the bag without counting, you're going to guess how many cubes do you think are in there? And then our captain is going to sort them out and put them into what? And ones. And then you're going to find the real answer and see how close you are. We're going to do this 3 different times. But the first time we're going to do it together, okay? So I'm going to use this table right here to help me with this activity, okay? So I'm going to pass this bag around and take a quick look. Pass it to the next person. Take a quick look. How many do you think are in there? All right, Jaden, what do you think? How many cubes do you think are in here? 40. Okay, come on up. He's going to come. Can you reach way up here? Right, use your marker here, and you're going to write your guess right up there. You think it's going to be 40. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay. And I'm going to take all my cubes out of the bag, and I'm going to start putting them together so that they're in tens, so we can count them a little bit easier. How many do I have there?
9.
How many more do I need to make 10? Let's count. 2, 4, 6, 7. How many more do I need to make 10?
3.
Excellent. Will you do that for me? How many do we actually have? Let's all count them together. Let's start by tens.
10, 20, 30, 31.
31. You were really close, weren't you? That was a great guess. Any questions about what, because you're gonna have your turn next. Everyone should have written what we just did on their paper. And you're going to do the next 3 with your captain at your table. And Ms. McCoubrey and I will walk around and help you. So if you're having a problem or you have a question, raise your hand and we'll come over and help your table.
In looking at this film, one of the things that I noticed is that in introducing the lesson and the activities, she's really modeling what she wants the students to do, and she's very clear, and she models it with a small group of students, and identifies herself as taking on a specific role that they will be taking.
Right.
And then she sets the whole learning activity up so that now it will be their turn. So it seems like she's moved from modeling to providing some guided practice, which is a very nice structure in a classroom.
Well, as you can say, that's highlighting the structure of everything
Right.
she's doing. Sometimes in the guidelines when it talks about highlighting or clarifying syntax, but it's really the underlying structure of things. So making the structure of a lesson explicit, making the structure of what we're doing is something that is very necessary for some students and is a good sort of meta skill for even the most advanced of students. Specifically within the guidelines, she does a gradual release. That is,
That's
that
right.
she says, we're going to do it 3 times. I'm going to do it with you the first time, and so on. So she's both modeling and gradually releasing that so that they can do it on their own.
And she also elicited feedback from them as a group after she completed her modeling, which is a good check-in to make sure that they really have the idea before they start doing it in their smaller groups.
All right, let's continue and see what else we can see.
Remember, pass the bag around first. Let everyone take an idea and write your guess down on the top line. Did everyone take an estimate over here? Take a guess? How many you think? All right. And the cats. Okay. Now the captain should start sorting the blocks out into tens and ones so we can get an actual number.
Things keep breaking. 1, 2, 3, 4, 10.
How many do you have?
7.
7. So you need how many more to make a group of 10? 7 plus what equals 10?
3.
3.
There's a good break. We have 2 left.
Okay.
31.
All right, so you have 3 groups of 10, and how many ones left over?
That's close. 3.
3. Okay, so you're gonna put 3 in the tens place because there's 1, 2, 3 groups of 10, and 3 in the ones place because there's 3 ones. So what's your number?
You know what's interesting? I was just thinking about the use of the blocks and the nature of the classroom. In our observation of this classroom, there are 30 students and there are 11 different languages represented. So the fact that they're using manipulatives and visual graphics is not making the language as such a barrier.
Right.
So how do we get to the goal of the lesson is to understand the tens and ones or that concept. And yet they were doing it with something that was very concrete and not bound by language. So I think she did a nice job of trying to get around those language areas and those potential barriers that could exist.
Right.
You know, I was also struck by something that I think might cause people to pause when they look at our guidelines in terms of illustrating key concepts non-linguistically. I mean, she was using the words and the language, and then she provided the cubes.
And I think that's really even more critical in math than a lot of subjects because it's not just that you're providing an alternate representation, it's that students need to understand the relationship between the physical and the symbolic. And so she was doing a nice job of using physical manipulatives with the students, but also then using the language of math so that they can make the connections between the two.
So it is sort of both a cross-linguistic,
Right.
but also a non-linguistic representation, and multiple representations are what we're talking about here.
8, 9, 10.
There were groups in which students were working in small groups, and there were children working independently on computers. There were 2 teachers in the classroom, and 1 teacher was actually working with a group supporting them. So many different methods were going on at
Right.
that point.
There are multiple ways they're acting on numbers and acting on objects to count and all of those so that they're not all the same. There's a good deal of variety in the ways in which a student can engage in the mathematics that she's concerned about.
I'm struck by the use of whiteboards. They are just everywhere in classrooms today.
Right.
And she really seems to use that not only as an instructional tool, but as a tool to help support students' learning. So they're getting to use it. So that, again, is a really can be a very engaging new technology that's in our classrooms.
And she uses the groups with to provide different levels. Like she's working with one group of students that probably need more specific guidance from her, again, on understanding this concept of place values and the tens and ones. So she's really structuring the activities and working with them.
This is what we used today in our lesson, right? This is exactly what we used. So we're going to use it again. Who remembers which side the tens are on? Everybody remembers?
Then what happens on the smart board in the computers is a program where the students are putting up their groups of tens and ones, and the computer itself is telling them how many they've put up there. So it's reinforcing them. So it's kind of a step away from the teacher guidance. And then there are more activities that are totally independent, like the matching game, where they're reading the numbers off and trying to find matches of 2-digit numbers.
Right. And I think when we go back to the guidelines, that's such a great example when we think of sustaining effort and persistence, and one of the checkpoints under there is to vary the levels of challenge and support, and there you go. That's such a great example of showing lots of different levels of challenge and support within the same classroom.
And also closing with an assessment. And it's not a formal assessment.
right.
It really is just kind of touching base with, what did you learn? One thing that you learned, which is, again, a very nice closing point, that it doesn't have to be the formal paper and pencil task showing me what you learned. But let's just get a general sense of where you are.
Okay, who can tell me one thing they learned today? Sophia, what did you learn?
We learned about numbers to put them in tens and ones.
Excellent. Good, Sophia. Julia, what did you learn?
Sometimes I think the class will end and then students are off to the next lesson or into, going to gym or to art, and they don't really get a chance to really reflect on what they learned. So I think it was just nice that you could tell she clearly ended the lesson 5 minutes early so that the students really did have that time to reflect. And Grace, like you were saying, it is a great example of developing those self-assessment and reflection skills, that the teacher really built it into the lesson to give them time to think about what they've learned in the past hour.